Hi, welcome to Homeridge Studio. My name is Cheryl, and for today's video, I have 7 transitional summer to fall thrift flips to share with you. So let's waste no time and get right into the video. Number 1. This is a shelf sitter, and here's how I made it. I thrifted this. I think it was $1. I went thrifting in Hilton Head when I was on vacation because why? I love to thrift. Let me know if you do too. I love garage sales and all that good stuff. Anyway, I did get these pieces of paper from scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby, and they were 30% off of 69 cents, I think that was. I did get the berry garland from Hobby Lobby at 40% off. And I did not use these words, but this is an option. You can always put these on the cube too. I have some raffia and a wine cork. I have some terracotta colored paint that I mixed up, acrylic paint. I don't know, a year or two ago. I just put it in this plastic jar and it's still good. So anyway, I just took and painted the entire block, other than the sides that have the yellow on. I'm putting the scrapbook paper on 4 sides, and I'm going to paint 2 sides and leave them blank with the terracotta. So the sides that I'm going to leave blank, I put 2 or 3 coats of the paint on. And then the one that I'm going to put the scrapbook on, I just put 1 coat, only because I don't want to see the writing below or beneath the paper. And I hope that makes sense. But the yellow you won't see through the paper, but the darker ones you could. So that's why I painted that. So anyway, sorry about my big head there in the way, but I had to get my head way down in there so I could see what I was doing, and I didn't want to, be too small on the paper. So I just traced the cube, and I always cut mine just slightly bigger, just in case. So I cut 2 of these out, and then I realized I wanted a white pumpkin on one side and an orange pumpkin on the other side, and so I kind of just hacked the paper up. I mean, this would have been fine too, but sometimes I get like really picky and I don't know. See what I'm doing here? Oh, make up your mind, Cheryl, already. Cut out the white pumpkin. Yeah. So when I do buy scrapbook paper, I always buy 2 sheets. Or sometimes if they're smaller like this, I buy 3, just in case. And then if you don't make an error, or if there's a pattern in there that you want, it's all good. So now I have the Aleene's glue stick from the Dollar Tree, and I like this a lot. It works really well. And I'm just going to put the piece on here, use my brayer to push it down. And then I have my rotary knife here, or rotary tool. I'm just cutting it. And there's kind of like a little edge on this block on all sides, so I had to kind of go underneath the block. And yeah, there's my head again. I'm sorry. I think it only happens twice in this video. But yeah, I had to really get down there, and because I couldn't see from standing above it. So anyway, I cut out 2 pieces of the plaid scrapbook paper as well, and then I put them on 2 of the opposite sides. And then now I'm taking the wine cork and I'm just going to paint it with this terracotta color paint. And I'm sorry, I don't remember what I mixed together because, like I said, it was either last year or it was 2 years ago. I think it was like 2 years ago. But anyway, I just kept mixing different colors of paint, orange and tans and browns until I got that color. And I think I put a little red in there and some black. So I sanded that whole thing down with my finger sander like I showed you there, because I really like that crisp, clean edge on all of the sides. And then I just took and put some of the paint in a cap. I just keep lids and stuff, and I watered it down ever so slightly, and then I took my paintbrush and tapped it with a pencil to put like splotches and dots all over the sides. And then when I was done with that, and I did that on the 2 opposite sides, and then when I was done with that, I have my Distress Oxide in the color Vintage Photo because I've been crushing on that. I've been using that in almost every video. I just like it. And just went around all the edges there of the scrapbook paper. Then I glued the cork right on the top. I wanted the scrapbook paper to be on the top. And then I'm just taking some of these berries. I've heard them called pit berries. I've also heard berry garland. I don't know which is correct. It could be both. But yeah, these are really pretty. Like I said, they're from Hobby Lobby, and all the fall stuff is like 40% off right now. So I just wrapped them around a pencil just to make little curlicues out of them. And as you can see, I cut 2 of them. I think they're probably about, I want to say 8 inches long. And then I bent them in half, and I'm going to put a bunch of hot glue on the bottom to get them to hold together. And then after they dry, after the glue dries, then you can kind of bend them to your liking. Now I have some of this raffia. Yeah, raffia. And it came on a package, and I just pulled it off the package and threw it in my stash. And so this came in handy right now. So I just took a bunch, and what I do is I make a loop, kind of like I tie it, then I put it on the cork, and then I make a double knot it. Because it's easier to do that before you put it on the cork than putting it on the cork and trying to, make two knots. And so I have these little burlap bows. They're from, I don't know what store I got them. Maybe Meijer or something like that. Or Walmart, I think, at Christmas time. But I just keep them in my stash all the time. I just dovetailed the ends and then plopped it on the stem. And then I put a button on there as well. And I think this turned out super cute. Do you guys like this? I love it. Love, love, love this piece. And it was fairly inexpensive to make. And like I said, I think the cube was $1, all of $1. Okay, number 2. And this is a shelf sitter. And here's what I have. Now, this was my thrifted piece. I got it for, I think it says $1.09, basically $1. I'm just going to peel off the sticker, and then I stick it under water and scrub it really well with soap. And then I have some chalk paint in the color hazelnut, and I believe that's what matches that board there because I don't paint the whole thing. I have the napkins, I have some rope, I have those flowers from the Dollar Tree, and some Mod Podge. And the flowers are peonies, or some people pronounce it peonies. Here in Michigan, I think we pronounce it peonies. I think they're both correct, actually. I don't know. Let me know if you know, though. Okay, so I did paint a good coat of the chalk paint on top there because I don't want you would see the words right through the napkin. And then after that dried, then I put a thin coat of Mod Podge on it. I dumped a little bit too much. I had to take it off. Then now that's drying, and I'm removing the plies from the napkin. So this one had 3 plies. That means there's 3 pieces to the napkin. Usually on the napkin package, it will tell you how many plies it is. But I'm sure you can tell because when it's super thin, there's no more plies left. So this has a scalloped edge, and I wanted that to be on top. And I pulled it down about 1/2 inch so you could see the scalloped edge. And then I just put some parchment paper on there and pressed it down with my little iron. And then now I'm going to take my finger sander and I'm going to sand this off. And soon I'm going to have a giveaway very soon. The finger sander is one of the things I'm going to give away. I want to start giving away things that I use a lot, that I love, that I can't live without. So this is one. Another one is a t-shirt that says, "Let's make some art," and a couple other things, but I'll keep you all posted on that. So after I was done sanding it all down and kind of, roughed up the edges a little bit, I'm just taking this rope here from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to put it all the way around. Now, when I get to the corners, this is how I do it. I take it and I pinch it. See how I'm pinching that in? and that gives it a nice edge. So I did that all the way around, and then when you get to the end, what I do is I cut the rope off on an angle, and sometimes I cut both ends on an angle. Then I take hot glue and I put it inside both edges, and then when that gets cool enough to the touch, then I pinch it. So obviously do not pinch the rope, you know, when the glue is hot, because you will burn the tar out of your hands. How do I know? You probably have done it too. Hot glue is, it can be pretty hot. It can be pretty bad. I have blistered my fingers before. Anyway, enough about that. So now I have these peonies, and there are like 3 big ones and 2 or 3 small ones. And they're like a cream color. They're I think they were in their summer flowers at the Dollar Tree, but these, I love the color, and they worked really well with the napkin. So I'm gluing the big one and a couple small ones down here, and I did cut the little plastic, like little bit off on the end so they, you know, stay flat. And then I'm taking a couple of those leaves and I cut the plastic off, and I'm going to put them underneath the flower. I have a whole bag full of tags, random tags. Sometimes when I get close, I will keep the tags. If they're a nice sturdy tag, I literally stick them in my bag. This one says Gather, and it came off of an article of clothing, believe it or not. And this is what I'm using. So I have the chiffon ribbon from Temu. It's a cream color. It's really pretty. And then I just take this tag. I didn't have to do anything with it. I just looped the ribbon right through that, and then I'm going to hot glue that right on top there. Then I put the ribbon right underneath the flower, and then I brought it up around the back, and then I glued it on the back. And that is it for this piece, and I love this piece too. Again, at the end, I'm going to ask you which one is your favorite, because it's important to me, because that tells me what you like to see. Okay, number 3, moving right along. I'm just going to call this a lighted topiary. I don't know what else to call it. So I thrifted this, and it was $1.09. And it was just, I don't know, it's a little dirty, a little beat up. Now I have this Krylon Color Max. It's a paint and primer in the color Satin Ivory. It's an indoor-outdoor spray paint. And then I have some picks. So I went outside and I painted this. I gave it 2 good coats. And so I have that candlestick from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. I have the little candle from the Dollar Tree. It comes in a 2-pack. Those are really nice, you guys. Really, really nice. If you can pick those up, do pick them up. So I'm going to put it together like that. But before, I'm going to just take, I have this box full of picks, full of like little pieces. And I have this greenery. And sometimes I like take my pieces that I make apart. If I don't sell them or I don't use them anymore, I'll take them apart and I throw all the greenery in a box. This is what I'm using. Random greenery. I had some boxwood in there. I had some fern pieces in there. Yeah, I don't know what else I have in there. Let's see. Oh, eucalyptus. And I just kind of popped them all into that little foam that I glued on top. And then you saw I glued the cork on top of that. No, it wasn't the cork this time. It was like a little piece of a stick. And then I have some more peonies. So I glued a couple of those on there. And then I did buy the sunflowers from Hobby Lobby. They were 40% off. So I threw a couple of those in there. And now I have this berry garland. Got it last year from the Dollar Tree. It's green and white. I'm doing the same thing, just wrapping it around the pencil. And then I'm clipping them off with my wire cutters. Do not use scissors on these because it will ruin them. I know, because I've done it. And now I'm just going to pop it on top there. And this was so easy, you guys. So this is how I put it together. That's it. Candlestick, light the candle, When you turn it off, you just pull the top off, and that's it. And I did glue a little bit of moss in there too. And this is just so pretty. Okay, number 4, 5, and 6. Here's just a bowl with some fruit in it, but I turned it into some fall pieces. So I have this bowl that I picked up for $1. Actually, all these pink tags, it was 50% off. So that was 50 cents. And then these were $4.09. They always put 09 on this. I don't know why. So those were $2. And then this was $1.09, and it was 50% off on yellow too. So I got that for 50 cents. I mean, that was a deal. I have both of these napkins. They kind of coordinated. I get my napkins from, these were from Marshall's, but Home Goods, Marshall's, TJ Maxx. And I have some cashew chalk paint. And this bowl was pretty beat up. So I took the sticker off and I cleaned it all up really good with some soapy water. Yes, I do put soapy water on my wood. And because some of this stuff is so dirty, and you never know. Like, I have found mouse poop and things there, so always, always, always disinfect and clean your stuff. And if you can throw it in the dishwasher, do that. So I gave that 2 good coats of the paint. I let it dry, and then I took my sander and I buffed out the edges so you could see the indentation, the design in there, because it's so beautiful. When that was all done, I cleaned it up really good, wiped all the sand and dust and chalk debris from it, and then I put some Mod Podge on it, but it's the glossy Mod Podge. Every time I use Mod Podge, it's always matte unless I say so, and this is glossy. And so after that, now that's drying, and I just took all of the fruit here, the 2 apples and the pears, and I put 2 good coats of the chalk paint on them. And then when they were dry, and this is the technique that I use, I just took the napkin, you remove the plies, put Mod Podge down, put a little torn piece of napkin down, and this for this apple I put strips. And then you spritz the napkin before you put it on it because it relaxes the fibers. And then I put Mod Podge on top of that. And then I just kept doing that to all the different pieces. And then after I was done, I took the wax, the antique wax, yeah. And then I just kind of put it on there, and it was fun doing this. It took a while, but it was fun. And the one apple with the straight plaid, I should have just put strips up and down, but I started kind of playing with it a little bit, and I don't like the way that it looks. I like the strips that are straight up and down. Anyway, I love that piece. And this is the last one, my favorite piece. This is a letter holder, I guess. This was $2.95 at Goodwill, and you can see it's quite dirty. I think it's pretty old. It's pretty beat up. The little padded, the little pads on the bottom were kind of almost disintegrating. So anyway, I'm just removing those with my scraper. And then I'm going to sand it down. There's some scratches on here. There was a little chunk of wood missing, and I just sanded that all down. And now I'm going to sand this off the top. It was almost like it was hand painted. I don't know if it was or bought that way, but I sanded that down. Cleaned it up really good with soapy water. And now I have the chalk paint in the color ink, which is black. And I'm going to paint the whole thing except where I'm putting the scrapbook paper. And I don't know why I didn't tell you. This project is Mod Podge, black chalk paint, and the scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby. And I only used 1 piece. So after I put 2 good coats on that, I'm letting it dry, and then I'm going to cut this paper. So I measured, I'm going to put the paper in the top So I measured the bottom, and this is the way that I could measure it without putting the paper on the inside. I knew that's how much I needed from the bottom to the top. And then I cut it out, and what I did was I put arrows for the top of the paper. So see, that's the top of the paper, and I put an arrow on both corners, meaning that is the top. And now I'm going to put it on the inside, and I'm going to fold that side down. I'm going to crease it. And then I'm going to cut that piece off as well. Yeah, and all this scrapbook paper was 40% off as well. So very inexpensive. Okay, so now I have the top ready to go, and now I'm going to put the bottom piece on. And I didn't try to figure out how to trace it or anything. I'm just going to put it on here, and then I'm going to cut off the extra pieces. And there's kind of a little edge around the bottom of this, so that was really pretty because you have that nice long black painted piece on the bottom. Okay, so I put my Aleene's glue on it, as you saw, and I'm just cutting this off. And then I just cut the extra off, and this is what I did because it's scalloped again. I took a very, very sharp X-Acto knife, and I am just kind of scoring it. I'm pushing the paper down a little bit in some areas, and I'm going really slow. This is sped up, this video, but I'm going very, very slow. So I'm pushing it down, see how I am, just to make sure that I'm not cutting the paper where it shouldn't be cut. And then after I was done, I took my handy dandy finger sander and I sanded that as well. And I was going to sand the edges anyway. I just like that look. That's me. And if you don't like it, then don't do it. But if you do, you know, you mess up and you take off too much of that black, you can just paint it. And I will show you in a second that I do that. Okay, so now we're going to do the top. And I put Mod Podge in it. And this is to stick the paper down. I don't have a whole lot of Mod Podge on here. This is just, we're using it as glue. Obviously, that's what you use it for, but I don't want a lot because I do not want this paper to wrinkle because I can't get an iron in there. It's really hard to get your hands in there to push it down. So I put a very small amount on that. And then I just pushed my paper right in there and then smoothed it down with my hands. And I kept smoothing it down just to make sure. And I did my brayer to, you know, as much as I could there. And then now the same thing. I just have, and this has to be really, really sharp. And I just took that blade and pulled it through very slowly. And this is what I did for the handle there. I put my ruler, you can put any wood or whatever underneath it. I put my ruler there so it had something I could press harder on it without, you know, puncturing the paper because then you run the risk of tearing it. So I had that ruler down there. I was holding it really tight. And also it prevents you from cutting your fingers. And then see, I'm just sanding the rest of it down. And then the little area in there, I couldn't get my finger sander in there, so I just took an emery board. That works really well. Sometimes it works better, I think. And then now I'm just touching up some of the black paint. I took off a little bit too much and sanding it down. And this is, you want to do all this. Now, again, I have the gloss Mod Podge because I wanted this to be glossy. And so I put a good coat all around it, the whole entire thing, including the side with the paper, the sides, everything, because I want it to be kind of shiny. Yeah, there were some little pieces of, I don't know what in there, just like gooey Mod Podge. So you want to obviously take those out because you want this to be shiny. Isn't that pretty? I love that. And then I get these little, they're kind of like little felt sunflowers. You get 4 in a pack from Hobby Lobby. They were like a couple bucks, and I just glued that right on the front. And yeah, you can put letters in here. You can put flowers. I put little picks in mine, little pieces, and I think this is so gorgeous. And all these pieces are kind of transitioning you from summer into fall, but not bam, pumpkin in your face. You know what I mean? But I will get there because fall is my favorite season. And let me know, is fall your favorite season? And if not, which one is? Okay, here is the whole shebang, all the pieces that I made today, all together. Okay, and that is all I have for you today, but that's a lot. And I had fun doing it. I hope that I've inspired you. Go out, buy some thrifted pieces, or, upcycle your own. And remember to sub and like and hype and share and all that good stuff. And I will be back very soon. And until then, my friends, you have a beautiful and blessed week. Bye.